Alright guys, this is Jerningam here. I'm drinking some of this 420 stuff. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it before. It's got 15 milligrams of CBD. Now, as you know guys, know what CBD is. A lot of people drink CBD and smoke tobacco and fags and cigars and whatever. Some people probably smoke weed in the world, but like I say, I'm not really a smoker, so I'm more a drinker. But this is a H2O. See, we've got a picture of the leaf on there. So some people may think I'm drinking cannabis, but it's sort of like that, but it's got the THC taken out of it anyway. So, you know, you know, not everybody believes in drugs. I mean, loads of people take them to keep well in the world, and if you've got asthma or anyway. Apart from that, we're going to be watching some Hong Kong protesting again in Hong Kong. It's been happening for several months now, but a lot of people are probably sick of the protests and the rubbish they're throwing around. So let's get into it. Protesters attack Met Line in Hong Kong after the government bans them from wearing a face mask. The Body Shop. Advice fires. Cardboard boxes are thrown. Pulled up bins and boxes. Containers. Bricks have been taken up off the floor and the ground. Smashing up the subway or train station or whatever you want to call it. They set off speakers in damage ticket gate. Spraying security cameras. Spraying paint security camera. And spraying on the ground. I mean, and floor. There's loads of police there stopping the violence, and they may have to call in the Chinese army. On the streets of rioting, police and fire and charge protesters of Hong Kong. Earlier, crowds took to the streets, leading carry on protesting to ban demonstration following the wears of masks hidden. Despite bans active. Well, that was well. There's a lot of crazy things in the world, but what could one say to the fire today? Okay. So, just trying to think what else I could go. 1 week, 2 extension rebellion.
Talk of the week, take 2. Well, another week that may have left you utterly bemused, but less bemused, I suspect, than the so-called Remain Alliance. Yeah, of course I'm talking about the Labour Party. I'm talking about the Liberal Democrats. I'm talking about the SNP. I'm talking about Plaid. I'm talking about the One Green. Oh, and of course, Anna Soubry. Don't forget Anna Soubry. She's leading a party who are hovering at around about 0% of the polls and yet seems to dominate the BBC almost every day. Now, the idea was they would gang together, bring forward a motion of confidence, get rid of Boris Johnson, and given that he now has a minus 43 deficit in the Commons, you wouldn't have thought that was too bad, and they would control of the government. They've been in meetings all week, in fact, at times in London this week. It's been eerily quiet, but they've got nowhere. Do you know why? They can't agree on who the leader should be. Now, old Grandpa Corbyn is, of course, the leader of the opposition, but the old Marxist is not going to get the support of those 21 Conservatives who were kicked out. The Liberal Democrats do not want Corbyn to be in number 10, even for a temporary period, because, of course, they're in direct competition with Labour that has been found. Margaret Beckett has been suggested. I've absolutely no idea. And equally, Ken Clarke, who's just touching 80, thinks that he perhaps is the man for the job. So thus far, to my surprise, they haven't moved a motion of confidence. And they're running out of time because next Tuesday, Parliament prorogued. Yes, prorogued.
Again.
Gosh. Will the Supreme Court have to sit again? No, actually, this is normal for a Queen's speech. It's just that the previous attempt at doing this was hopelessly mishandled by the government, giving, I think, way too many arguments to the Remain side. And in fact, they were the good guys. They were in charge of democracy and freedom and liberty and parliamentary sovereignty. So Parliament's prorogued on Tuesday. And then when it comes to force, Boris heads off to the European summit, the all-important European summit in Brussels on the 17th of October. So they're running, in a sense, they're running out of time to remove Boris as Prime Minister. Now, Boris himself, of course, his first speech to the Conservative minister, and oh, I had to laugh. I had to laugh. From the beginning of the hall, as the lights music began to play, and it was of everything we in the Brexit Party do, particularly the big vision rally that we put on with 5,500 people back in June in Birmingham. The difference was they went for the big rah-rah, the big razzmatazz. And as Boris came, when I'm doing that and walking through the crowd, they say, "Go on, Nige, go on, son." Or there are women rushing out of the audience trying to grab me. With Boris, they stood there politely saying, "Hello, Mr. Johnson, frightfully pleased to meet you." And it just did not work as a big rah-rah. Boris got on stage, and at one point, I couldn't believe it, at one point he even said, "We are ready." I mean, they literally have copied everything we've talked about in terms of style, design, and also in terms of policy. I mean, they're talking now about broadband. They're talking about improved infrastructure links in the north of England. A couple of weeks ago, we said we thought inheritance tax should go because actually in London and the South East, it now affects ordinary families, not the rich. And we joked when we announced it, I wonder how long it'll be before the Tories copy that one. And it took 2 weeks. So I think we're doing quite well in writing the government's manifesto. The Boris speech, well, look, he'd written it himself. It was delivered without autocue, but from notes on a desk. I mean, he's miles better than Theresa May. I mean, you may say that's not difficult. He's miles better than Theresa May. And there was one I thought quite funny moment in it when he talked about, if Parliament was the jungle, they'd all be voted out. But at least we'd have the joy of seeing Speaker John Bercow eating a kangaroo's testicle. That was funny. It went down quite well. Other jokes were not as funny as Boris normally can be. He wasn't as upbeat as he often is. But then I guess he is Prime Minister. Wasn't much detail. Lots of talk about being a one-nation Tory. Lots of talk about going green in all sorts of different ways. But he did say, we're going to get Brexit done. That was the theme of their conference. And he did say that we are leaving come what may on the 31st of October. Now, strangely, you would have expected his speech to the Conservative conference to be the news story of the day. Indeed, perhaps in some ways, the news story of the week. But no. That afternoon, his big offer, his letter to Jean-Claude Juncker, his attached new compromise proposals were published. Now, what does this amount to? Well, on the one hand, with Northern Ireland, the backstop is replaced by a slightly complex two-border solution, with Northern Ireland staying part of the customs union rules on a renewable 4-year basis to be decided.
It just annoys me. They keep backdating Brexit all the time.
Is potentially the annexation of a part of the United Kingdom.
1 minute it's April, next minute it's July, 1 minute it's December. Pisses me off. It's just a lot of old people. I just want Brexit to be done.
In fact, I could hear the founder of the DUP, Dr. Ian Paisley, bellowing down from the heavens that this was a surrender. But it was accompanied by a new plan for Northern Ireland, which means the government will pump in vast amounts of taxpayers' money, which I guess acted as an incentive. But the exciting thing about what Boris said, the aspirational thing about what Boris said, is that the United Kingdom would leave the customs union, all of the United Kingdom would leave the customs union at the end of the transition period, and that we would no longer be aligned, Northern Ireland accepted, no longer aligned with EU rules. Now, this is getting a bit nearer to what Brexiteers actually want, and I think is a positive thing, a positive statement. It means that the political declaration will have to change. because Article 23 of it says very clearly that any new trade deal would be based on existing customs rules. Aspiration good, delivery, look, the EU are never going to accept this in a month of Sundays. So I don't think it's coming back to Parliament. And Boris now faces a choice. Either, I said it again today in the House of Commons, either he takes us out with no deal or a clean break Brexit, depending on your choice of menu. Either he does that on the 31st of October and he thinks there is a loophole in the Benn Act that allows us to do it, or he accepts an extension. All I would say is this, Boris, if you now really want a genuine free trade agreement, as opposed to the close and special partnership that Mrs. May was aiming at, why on earth not just ditch any thoughts of the withdrawal agreement, any thoughts of that attached political declaration, and get ready to fight a general election in some time to come, saying, look, we'll give the EU a few months to agree a trade deal, or we are leaving on WTO rules. Don't, Boris, kick the can down the road. Any thought that maybe we'll get out at the end of a transition period means that you're actually putting faith, good faith, with the European Union. It's like putting your head into a crocodile's mouth and hoping that he will behave. Make your mind up, Boris. Is it a clean break Brexit, or do we kick the can down the road? Do we extend yet again? If we do extend, there'll be an extension rebellion. I'll make sure of it.
Well, that was interesting words from Nigel Farage. He made his point clear. But I could say about Boris Johnson's Brexit deal. Right, I'm going to leave this video short, guys, because there's not enough room on the video because it's a bit full on my memory on the phone. So I'm going to be doing some more videos in a minute, so stay tuned. Some places in America have legalised cannabis and weed for MS, multiple sclerosis people, and they probably see these cans there as well. Well, I've got my hand here. They're very rare. Most people have probably never seen these cans in the UK or anywhere else. But anyway, thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. See you later, guys.